Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be talking about Solana and Cardano, I guess indirectly as well, because we've seen some pretty shocking news. I don't really know how I feel about this. A lot of it seems, I don't know, I don't really agree with this, but we're going to get into that here in a second. Basically, it's surrounding both the Solana and Cardano ETFs. Really crazy stuff. So anyway, we'll not waste any more time. We'll go on ahead, we'll dive right in, and we'll check out crypto bubbles to start, just because we can see we were seeing a little bit of a nice day yesterday, definitely not a nice day today. Basically everything down wholesale here. If we do look at the week, we are back in red overall, but we can see some greens here and there. So, you know, a couple gainers, but overall, you know, the week's still down pretty big. BNB, Ronin, Tau, Litecoin kind of being the kind of big names that have been moved up. Pulse Chain, obviously, you know, pretty decent. PulseX, and then Hex doing decent as well. So, but overall, you know, from the month, things still down pretty bad. Overall, things not looking great. Now, moving on though, I want to go and take a quick look at the Solana price and the Solana chart, just because we can see some fairly interesting stuff happening. Obviously, you know, we were forming what seemed like a possible wedge, broke out of that pretty dramatically. We have seen, you know, holding in this liquidity zone as we've seen several times before, actually never really even dropping too much into it other than this like massive liquidation wick that we had, and then a couple tiny wicks here and there. But overall, we've kind of held above this like liquidity zone and kind of danced around this this level of support / resistance, depending on kind of what side of it we're on. So, you know, overall, Solana price doing okay, the RSI doing okay. You know, not really a whole lot going on there. If we look at the Bollinger Bands too, we can see starting to pull a little bit off of the Bollinger Bands. We were kind of sitting at the very bottom of those here for a little while, so we are getting a little bit more space there, which is always, of course, good to see. Now, moving on, like if you are interested in trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, any sort of altcoin that you probably would be interested in, feel free to use my link to BTCC in the description below. They are doing that 10% bonus on first-time deposits, so if you want 10% of however much you're going to be depositing for free, it's really good deal. You know, obviously, you know, if you're depositing $10,000, you're going to be getting $1,000 for free. Awesome deal there for sure. And this is in addition to the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. So definitely a whole bunch of money that they're willing to throw at you here. Also, no VPN or KYC necessary if that's something that's important to you. So I would say, you know, really good deal. If you are interested, go ahead and check that out. I did want to say we actually have seen virtuals. We'll talk about virtuals a little bit more extensively in a different video, but we can see that virtuals is now officially live on Solana. They were natively on the base chain. There was kind of like a base versus Solana type of competition, and virtuals has now kind of bridged over, and now you can have a virtual on either Solana or base, which is pretty cool. So I want to show that just because obviously the virtuals price has been down fairly decently or very decently, depending on how you define that. And then also, you know, Solana price hasn't been doing particularly well here, but I think this is some pretty good news that we are seeing overall. Now, moving on, I want to go into the main meat of the news today, because this is pretty interesting. I'm really not sure what to make of this. We can see Solana ETF will get rejected and Cardano ETF will be accepted, and here's why. Kind of crazy stuff. So we're going to be talking about this. First off, let's watch this video, and then we'll go from there.
Issues with spam and chain congestion. So when it works, it's a great experience from the user perspective, issuing assets and trading assets. But in March and April, 70% transaction failure rates, that's too high. The block explorers for Solana are pretty brutal to use. And last week when Solana DeFi activity flipped ETH briefly, and you know there's a lot of charts out there showing that, and you know we were some of the folks that were highlighting that momentum. I got a bunch of angry emails highlighting all of the wash trading or alleged wash trading that's happening on some of these illiquid meme coin pools. And the fact is, it's just hard to figure out the reality because there's so much data and no one really stores it all. So Solana consensus design is so complex that few actually know how it works or how it can be improved.
So obviously some really crazy stuff going on here. I don't really know exactly what to make of that. I can understand the point that's being made here, but I don't know. It's just that seems a little bit of a reach to me, because kind of like we can see this is the top comment here. I don't get how any ETF could be allowed for a system that still hasn't exited beta. It makes no sense. I think that's fair, right? I'll be the first to admit Solana has its problems, and I think everybody kind of knows that Solana has its problems. The failed transaction rate, the chain going down, those kind of being chief among them. But overall, I will say that, Solana does have kind of the most relevant activity on chain. As mentioned, it briefly flipped Ethereum and DeFi. So, I mean, they're kind of like neck and neck. They're effectively like peers at this point in time. So I don't know. Yes, Solana has its problems, but it's also like one of the two most relevant like ecosystems in the space, right? And so, yes, of course, maybe there's wash trading, there's the whole Solana consensus mechanism. Yes, all of that 100%. And so I can understand why the ETF may potentially be declined because of some of these, more opaque issues that we don't really have answers to. But also on the other hand, I don't really know how that gets Cardano accepted for that exact reason, right? No one really uses it a whole lot. It's still very early on in development. They've been consistently behind schedule. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Cardano hater here. I'm kind of pointing out the obvious facts that we have been able to see over time. And so, I don't know. It's a hard thing to I don't really know what to make of it. I feel like if Solana got denied and Cardano got accepted, that would be crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I kind of feel like if anything, it would be either the opposite way or both would just get accepted. I think probably that the odds of both of them getting denied are probably relatively low, just because the SEC is kind of turned more pro crypto. However, of course, there is that possibility, because the only two options, or the only two crypto ETFs that exist, are Bitcoin and Ethereum, and both of those are incredibly large. I mean, Bitcoin kind of at or around $2 trillion currently, Ethereum around 400 billion, and then the next largest is actually XRP, which is 160 billion if I remember correctly, and then Solana is somewhere around 100. I think it's just under 100 billion right now, but I mean, those are some pretty big drops, right? And so it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if both got rejected. I don't know. It actually would kind of surprise me, just because the pro crypto stance that we are seeing, especially with a lot of these made in America coins. Both Solana and Cardano are made in America, so they both kind of have that going for them. XRP potentially another one that gets accepted. I would say probably XRP is probably most likely to be accepted, especially given some of their legal issues that they've had that now seem to be cleared up. I'm not exactly sure how XRP wouldn't get accepted for an XRP, particularly if something like Cardano or Solana is getting accepted. I don't understand why XRP wouldn't. My own personal thoughts of XRP aside, that just from a pure objective fairness perspective, XRP seems to be kind of the most qualified next candidate if I were to kind of be weighing in on my opinion, again, objectively and in an unbiased way. So I'm really interested to see kind of what goes on here. I would be very, very surprised if Solana got rejected and Cardano got accepted, but that's what some of these people who are really deep in the crypto space are saying. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. That's kind of the best thing that we can do here. Obviously, potentially a ton of ETF action happening in kind of the latter half or even just the remainder of 2025. So pretty interesting things going on there. We'll have to kind of see how it goes. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with kind of the overall sentiment in the market from a fundamental perspective. Obviously, people are whining probably now more than ever, but that's okay. That's part of the game, and that's actually what makes me feel fairly confident that we might actually see an alt season that was potentially promised, because people are finally starting to believe that it may not happen and that this top is in and the cycle's over, all that type of stuff. So again, no one knows for sure. We'll always have to wait and see of kind of what is actually going to happen there. But overall, I just thought that this type of thing was really interesting. Obviously, we're talking about this, Van Eck is an institution. Institutions are talking about crypto adoption, on-ramps, onboarding the masses, a lot of that type of stuff. So, I'm very, very interested to see how kind of the rest rest of 2025 and then on to 2026 and onward goes, just because hopefully we're seeing leaps and bounds of progress being made within the US crypto regulatory and just overall like investment environment. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and a subscribe, because it really does help me out. I swear, I promise it does. I actually did just reach 5,000 subscribers, which is a super big deal. I'm really happy that that I've been able to have the success that I've had so far, and definitely just looking forward to having more and continuing to kind of share and make good content with for you guys. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Also, if you guys have any comments, questions, thoughts, whatever, things like that, comment section below. I almost forgot to say that. I do really like reading and listening and responding to all of your guys' comments. So anyway, with that said, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.